Howdy y'all, Wyrm here. Welcome to the next episode of the Endwalker Prep series, where we recap and bring you up to speed on the story, characters and plot points as we head towards Endwalker, so you can jump right in with full clarity of where you are. In this episode, we cover patch 5.5, Death Unto Dawn parts 1 and 2. Alrighty, let's jump right in. The main events begin at the Alliance meeting in Alamigo. Thancred and Urianger fill in everybody about the events of their scouting mission to Garlemald. Things are a downright mess there. The capital is in ruins, thanks to the civil war and the machinations of Xenos and Fandaniel, and a massive structure dwarfing the towers we've seen all over Eorzea is situated within its ruins. Right now, powerful factions within the Garlean Empire and its legions are vying for dominance and a yet unknown goal. But this has given resistance factions like the Bosgians the chance they needed, but more on that later. As the meeting continues, we learn that the scouts they sent to investigate a tower got tempered when they got too close after hearing a loud roar. Now, tempered individuals normally sing their primal master's praises in an almost zombie-like manner, but these ones that got tempered uttered one phrase.
Glory be to Garlemald!
Glory be to Garlemald.
It seems this tempering made them subservient not to a primal that we know of, but instead to Garlemald, as we saw at the end of patch 5.4. The conversation continues when we learn that a group of Garlean forces has been roaming across the world and capturing many members of multiple beast tribes and taking them to their closest tower. The aim of this time is to discover what these towers are and what the Garleans are up to. Since tempering is a real threat right now, 2 scouts are assigned to be sent to the tower near Alamigo. The scouts are none other than Arenvald and Fordola, the same Fordola we fought during Stormblood and ended up imprisoned in Alamigo for her crimes. Another TLDR. Fordola's been putting her stolen gifts to good use to aid the Alliance when needed. You see as much during the Summoner's level 80 job quest. Since both of them have the Echo, they are the perfect ones to go scout the situation since they can't be tempered. After they head off, we get a new mission, to head off to Ishgard and find Estinian, but also to unravel the mystery behind lunar bahamut, and who would know better than the original bahamut's consort, Tiamat, who lays imprisoned in Aziz's La. After finding Estinian in Ishgard and him royally ticking off Alizé,
I am not Alphino!
we all head off to Aziz's La to meet with Tiamat. We hear all and share all with her, and it turns out this lunar bahamut may be an actual shade of the original bahamut. Not only that, the Garleans appear to have control over a large host of Mericidian dragons, children of Tiamat. The group wants to get Tiamat's help, and she's eager to end lunar bahamut and do what she can for her children. However, there's an issue with Tiamat in that she's still tempered, which happened when the original primal bahamut was summoned long ago. So should they let her out, she'd likely go on a killing spree. After a lot of work by the group and a few Porxion tempering attempts, she's finally freed from his influence and comes to her full senses, determined to aid you and yours to defeat this shade of her beloved bahamut, but also to free the Mericidian dragons. No sooner is she freed, you get another message that trouble's brewing. It's like a workday that doesn't end around here. Seems lunar bahamut and his horde are heading to Pagalthan, the homeland of the Amalja, to the east of Thanalan. You and yours set off to Ul'dah to learn more and to catch an airship to Pagalthan. It seems the Amalja are fighting against these draconic invaders, as well as the Garleans, but they're in need of aid, which is where we come in. You and your allies fight your way through the tempered dragons, and also tempered Garleans that block your path. With Tiamat's aid, you fight and defeat lunar bahamut, at the same time freeing the Mericidian dragons from his grasp. Not only that, the Amalja were so grateful for your assistance that they pledged theirs to the Alliance, especially since now we have a cure for tempering. Damn, that cure is coming in handy now, isn't it? Should have put a patent on her or something. You say your goodbyes and fly back to Ul'dah. You're not back in the city 10 seconds when you get word that Arenvald got gravely wounded during a scouting mission. As the healers tend to Arenvald, Fordola explains what happened. It seems these towers are being used to keep captured beast tribe members within them. The tower they checked out was filled with captured Amalja. The tower activated while they were inside and used these Amalja to summon a darker version of Ifrit, now dubbed Lunar Ifrit. Both of them barely escaped with their lives. After this, you have a meeting with the Sultana and your allies, where you discuss the events of what happened. That done, you and yours head back to the Rising Stones at Krile and Tataru's request, and bring Estinian along with you. Krile then states her intentions to head back to Sharlayan to ask the Forum, the leading body of the Sharlayans, for aid in discovering the motives of the Telephory and these towers, but also to nose through their big collection of knowledge which they never share. You can't even get a library card for this stuff. She then goes on regarding an investigation she and Y'shtola have been conducting regarding the fact that Hydaelyn has been very quiet as of recently. She doesn't even send us a Discord DM. The fact is, Hydaelyn has been silent to us since Heavensward. That's a long time. Lastly, before she heads off, she sends Estinian an FC invite to the Scions of the 7th Dawn, and to our joy, he accepts. Estinian is now one of the Scions. Things couldn't end better, until we cut to Garlemald. Xenos is going over his choice of glamours, and of course now we know he chose to re-roll Reaper with an OP new gun scythe. He discusses their setbacks in Pagalthan with Van Daniel, and discusses the control of something called you-know-what, to which we get no answers as to what. And that's that for Death Unto Dawn Part 1. On to patch 5.55, Death Unto Dawn Part 2. Let's go. You and your fellow Scions are resting in the Rising Stones when an Alliance envoy shows up inviting us to a historic assembly of the Alliance in Alamigo. Seriously, we may as well move the Scions home base to Alamigo at this point. Anyway, we pray return to the Alamigo Sands to attend this historic meeting. And it proves to be just that, fully historic, years in the making. Not only are all the Alliance leaders in attendance, but leaders of the beast tribes from all over are joined in. The threat of the Garleans and the cure for a tempering, combined with the aid we've given them during these Garlean attacks, are enough for them to pledge their support to the Alliance as full allies against the Telephory and the Garleans. The discussions continue until the subject of forming a new Alliance Grand Company comes up, and it shall be dubbed the Grand Company of Eorzea. Now, if you're not familiar, this is a dream Alphino's had since he came to Eorzea years ago. We tried to do this years ago when we formed the Crystal Braves, until it was destroyed from within. Given Alphino's history on the subject, he wants to share his insights due to his experience with the Crystal Braves. So we venture off with him to learn the opinions of former Crystal Braves. In short, some were happy with the Braves, the rest hated it. Sounds like a normal workplace to me. You and yours then head off to meet with the Sylphs, but you barely get there before you get a message that the Sharlayans have sent a representative to meet with Kane Senna in Gridania, and it's none other than the leader of the Forum, Forshino Leviur, father of our favourite Elzen twins. We rush over to Gridania right away to meet with Kane Senna. Shortly after, Forshino arrives. Expectations are high since the leader of the Forum himself made the journey in person. He meets and greets with his two children, and after a quick catch up with them, gets straight to the point of his journey to Eorzea.
Sharlayan will under no circumstances intervene in the conflict between Eorzea and the Garlean Empire.
Despite the information they have, and the pleas of those present, his children included, he doesn't believe this is their problem, nor does he put any stock in these claims of final days. Since Sharlayan is smarter than anybody else, they would know first. Typical logic, of course. Alizé and Alphino protest and plead with him to reconsider, but he takes this as them being immature. But even more so, if you watch my previous theory video on the subject, he saw this as them trying to drag Sharlayan into a fight that wasn't theirs. As such, he flat out declares that both of them have no rights to claim or use the name Leviur, in effect banishing them from the family and cutting their ties with Sharlayan. Everyone stood shocked and my jaw dropped. The guy made a few million enemies with that act, to be sure. He hears no more and wanders off again to return to Sharlayan. Before you can even process what the heck just happened in the last 5 minutes, a sylph comes rushing through stating that the Telephory and Garleans did a war march through the Exiles' homeland and are on a direct course for the Cartano Flats. The banners are raised and the Alliance rallies to Cartano to meet them. Before you and yours head off, however, you're greeted by Fordola and Arnvald. The former brought him there to speak with Alphino. It turns out, due to his injuries, he's now confined to a wheelchair. The poor guy, all he wanted to do was be a hero. He lends Alphino his encouragement to fight on, since he can't anymore, but we leave him with some words of encouragement. Only the future will tell if he'll stand again to fight alongside us once more. You and yours fly off to the Cartano Flats to join the Grand Company of Eorzea in their fight. And rightfully so. The Telephory have armies of tempered beastmen alongside their own ranks. Not to mention they managed to summon a lunar version of multiple primals, making this a dangerous fight that needs you to take yet another step forward towards the primals, while everybody else takes a step back. You meet up with your fellow Scions, and split into groups to tackle this fight at multiple points. A hard fight lies ahead. The battle is long and drawn out on multiple fronts. While the Grand Company fights the main forces, the Scions lead the charge towards the multiple lunar primals on the battlefield. After finally dispatching the lunar primals and the Telephory's machinations, the showboating Fandaniel finally appears in the skies above. He declares that the day is ours, and we got our stay of execution for the time being, hinting that the battle we just fought, had we lost, might have just caused the final days to happen right then and there. In Asian fashion, he pulls a disappearing act. The Grand Company won the day, but at a cost. Across the battlefield, people are being mended and, thanks to the cure, untempered. The forces of the new Grand Company of Eorzea had a trial by fire, and came through victorious. Man and beastman alike standing side by side. Alphino seems to be struggling with recent events though. He tries and fails to resurrect a fallen Guardian soldier. This is likely another catalyst for him to learn the Sage Arts by Endwalker. Sir Emmerich catches up with us and offers us an airship ride home, as he has some things to discuss. In short, he states the Grand Company of Eorzea has proved that it can take the fight to the Telephory, and armed with the cure to tempering, can even combat the primals to an extent. While they keep Eorzea safe and the Telephory at bay, he asks the Scions to focus on neutralising the towers, as they seem to be the key to all this. But without Sharlayan knowledge, it might prove difficult, showing that we need to head to Sharlayan sometime soon, once Kryl managed to get us permission to enter. And likely we'll need a COVID jab and a passport given how things are going. Anyway, we cut back to Garlemald, and things are in a right state, and Xenos seems to be enjoying himself. Fandaniel states that the Cartano Flats was merely a setback. Not word for word, but it was the TLDR. He goes on to say that they could rely on something called the Dreamer for the power they needed. We also get a look at the massive tower in Garlemald, which they state is a gateway of some sort. We hear a roar as the screen fades to black. We're not 100% certain, but the theory is that could be Anima, who is set to appear in Endwalker. Back to Eorzea. You and the Scions get to work. The towers are public enemy number 1 in your book, so everybody spreads out to multiple regions to examine them and their effects. Everyone gathers in Mordorna to share their findings, and they're indeed bleak. Seems not only are these towers able to summon primals, using the captured beast tribe members within them, but they fuel this summoning by draining the aether from the land itself. And it seems to keep doing this regardless of summonings, likely sending it off somewhere else, which is what Fandaniel was talking about earlier. It's then revealed that the etheric levels of the lands around the towers are weakening. These towers are literally bleeding the planet dry. At this point I got serious Final Fantasy VII vibes. These towers are the Final Fantasy XIV equivalent of Mako reactors. Everyone's mood sours at these revelations. Seems these towers are quickening Hydaelyn's demise, one of the main goals of the Asians since we first met them. As everyone heads back home to warn the Alliance of their findings, a voice beckons you from behind.
Hear me. Darkness comes, and with it, the end. The fate of the star is in your hands.
At first, most thought this was Hydaelyn, but most speculate this is actually Vana, one of the ancient Asians from the faction that sacrificed themselves to summon Hydaelyn. Vana became Hydaelyn's heart, so in a way, she's both. And that's pretty much it. The story as it leads into Endwalker in as short of a recap as I could make it. I'm not sure if we'll get any more story between now and Endwalker, but these videos will also get you up to speed for that. I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone. Now that the main story recaps are done, I'll be focusing on specific events, characters and plot points in upcoming videos. By the time I'm done, they will be, I hope, a great primer for Endwalker, so we'll have a full understanding of what's going on by the time it releases. If you enjoyed this latest video, hit that like button to show it, and importantly leave your personal thoughts in the comments. Lastly, if you want to stay tuned, hit that subscribe button. Thanks all, and now, as always, have a good one.